Record. I'm recording. Hello and welcome to MELS 601 add-on. This is our first class. It is January the 14th, 2020, and I'm Dr. Robin Hamilton.
I am Dr. Jamal Crawford.
Dr. Jamal Crawford, and we are going to work together and work with you all. And we are so excited that you're here. We are excited that you're taken on this journey. And we appreciate you for choosing Gardner-Webb University, and we are here to help you and serve you and work with you. And you're going to have a great semester, and it's going to be fun, isn't it, Dr. Crawford?
It is, and the first thing I want to start off by saying is I know last night in that 30, 35, 40 minutes may have been a bit overwhelming, just kind of seeing everything coming at you. And I want to reiterate to all of you right now, pump your brakes and relax. We know that there is a lot. Also recognize, we want you to recognize that Dr. Hamilton and I recognize that all of you, I'm pretty sure, are working professionals. You're teaching during the day. You're dealing with school nonsense, especially with spring coming up on us. You're dealing with life nonsense, and we want you to recognize that we recognize that. And so never be afraid to reach out. Our job is to get you through 601. I think both of us on our own last semester got all of our students through. May have been painful at times for a couple of them, but we got through it. And ultimately speaking, that's what we're here to do.
That's right. So we're going to start by just sort of trying to walk you through a few little things and just sort of help you sort of orient yourself to make things a little easier for yourself. So I'm sharing my screen with you, and you should be able to see it. So when you go into Blackboard, you'll see something like this. In your class, my class is C8. What is your class?
C8.
You're C8 as well. Okay, so you'll just go there, and then you'll see that you have welcome and introduction. You'll have the syllabus is right here, and there's a lot of information in that syllabus, and so you can download that and find information in there. This is a point total class. So with the point totals, every assignment that you turn in is basically worth 100 points, and your points just add up, so you'll keep up with that. It depends on who your instructor is, but you'll have a little meet your instructor. Most all of my folks have done the enrollment verification activity. If you have not, you do need to go in and do that. Dr. Crawford, how are yours coming along?
I have not checked, but I'll check before I close off tonight.
Okay. And then we have this next steps part about ordering your textbooks, Zoom links and calendars, and here are the textbooks. You're also going to need APA 7th edition.
I believe that one may be on backlog, so don't fret. The good thing about APA 7th is that the university is also providing you an online edition, which I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to clown all of you because you guys get to write in the first person and I couldn't, so whatever. So if you order the APA 7th, it's on back order, but it'll get in as soon as they get it.
Good. And then our weekly Zoom link is here for Tuesday night, and we'll use that same link every Tuesday. On the Thursdays that we do have coaching sessions, and we will have them for at least the first 4 weeks, there is the Zoom link for that. Because the APA 7th edition is brand new, the university is asking and highly encouraging that you do one of these 2 sessions, either January 23rd at 6 o'clock or January 28th at 6 o'clock. And there are the Zoom sessions for that. Dr. Crawford and I did sit in a training that personally I need more. So we're going to be working through that together as we change our paradigm on APA.
And folks in my class, I will email those links out to you tonight.
Yes, and we do appreciate it if you can be here and be here with us, and that gives you an opportunity to be able to ask questions as you go through, and it just helps support you a little more. But we understand that you all work, as do we, full-time jobs, and sometimes you just can't be there. So we will record these classes for you, and we will email those out following the session. It'll take, it has to download, be uploaded into YouTube, so it can take an hour or so sometimes, but we will get those out to you as quickly as we can following the class session. I just want to reiterate that we are in a professional class setting, and there'll be sometimes things that have to be said or are said, or you have a question or concern, maybe about something that's going on at your school, and maybe sometimes Dr. Crawford and I will share something, but we expect confidentiality in this setting. That's an important role of being a school administrator, is maintaining confidentiality. So this is a great place to start practicing it now. If you have not set up a basic Zoom account, you'll need to do that. When you upload assignments in Blackboard, it has to be in a PDF or Word document. So anything you upload in Blackboard, we can't say this enough, has to be in a PDF or a Word document. If you try to share Google or do something other than that, then it messes up the formatting and it causes APA issues, and it just doesn't work. So it has to be in a PDF or a Word document. If you do not know how to screenshot, you need to learn how to do that. Your computer will probably either say screenshot or print screen or PRTSC for print screen or something like that. So make sure that you know how to screenshot, because you will have to do that for your final grades. Okay. So that is, we're gonna, each week you'll see that you have in your Blackboard course overview in several places. You have your weekly class schedule, which is there that you can download, and you'll see that it just opens once it downloads, slowly but surely. So tonight you'll see that last night we had our town hall, then tonight is Zoom session 1, and then Thursday will be Zoom session 2. So we're going to have an orientation, which we're doing right now. We'll go over the syllabus, procedures, and deadlines. We'll look at the course handbook. We'll talk about accessing the online library. So that's your resources and things to read. And then we'll go over the assignments. And this is every week you have your weeks in there. So tonight, Dr. Crawford's going to talk some about professional learning communities. Here are some links for you to help be resources for you to learn about those. We do have materials section in Blackboard for that. Your task 1 draft is due the 2nd week, and we'll talk more about that tonight. Anything that's posted in red is your assignment. And remember that if you have not set up Zoom, do so. And your assignments would be due no later than 9 o'clock on January 19th. And right now, your only assignment is to make sure you've done that roster verification and that you've gone in and shared your information with your Zoom team. That would be what absolutely has to be done by this week for you. Another place where you could find that is if we scroll on down in Blackboard, you'll see that each week is listed week by week. So there's week 1, and you're going to see the very same thing again right there in week 1 for your convenience. And now this is mine. So last night I just went in and just uploaded that link to the town hall, and I'll probably upload my link right there for tonight as well, in addition to emailing, just so you have that. But so all that is there for you. So let's go to our syllabus, which you can get from that overview page, or you can get from right here. And so Dr. Crawford is going to go over attendance, the clinical coaches, weekly schedules, and things like that for you, and things that are in the syllabus for you.
I don't want to mispronounce that. Is that Chaitra? The answer to your question is yes. assignments are due at 9. Now, let me go ahead and just start by saying, um, again, Dr. Hamilton and I both get that sometimes life happens. Again, we are both working professionals with children, and so if things pop up, shoot me a text or shoot me an email. It'll be difficult for me to check my email during the workday. I got my hands pretty well full from 7 to about 4 every day, but I will check my Garden Web email daily, or my phone number is listed in my syllabus. If something comes up, just shoot me a text. I'm not looking to minus 90 points a day every day that you're late. If something comes up, just tell me. We'll work through it and move on. So yeah, but 9 o'clock is the basic due date, and on most cases, Dr. Hamilton and I will actually work on getting your work turned around either that night or I would say at the very latest Monday. We do try to work on having a 24-hour at minimum turnaround so that you have all the feedback that you need to make the corrections that you need. You'll find that we will be a little more, I won't call it nitpicky, but we will likely find more stuff early on in your writing as you get used to readjusting to graduate writing. But you'll find that over time you will improve, and we will taper off as well, and won't feel the need. We won't have the need to find those things because you simply won't have them. So just look out for that as well. So again, this is the syllabus. It pretty much just lays out everything that you need. It has your text. Just keep scrolling down. So the first part of this course is going to be dealing with the APSL. And that kind of ties into talk about the PLCs. Here's is how you align everything with the principal standards and the principal evaluation document. If you all have not had the opportunity to take a look at that, I think it'd be you can ask your principal or assistant principal for a copy. If for whatever reason they don't want to give you one, you can pull it up online. You can start taking a look at exactly what principles are evaluated on. And a big chunk of this course is designed to make sure that you get experience in working through that. Two things that you're going to hear consistently throughout this course are, making sure that you have evidence and making sure that you have artifacts. And so I said APSL, and it stands for Analysis and Action Plan for Student Learning. And then the second part of the course we'll be working on the APTEL, which is Analysis and Action Plan for Teacher Empowerment and Leadership. A simple way to break this down would be the APSL is going to be where you are going to take a stab at analyzing a problem around student learning and student achievement. And the APTEL is going to be you designing a way to address a specific issue. So one's going to be about teaching and learning with students. One's going to be about teaching and learning with adults. One of the things you're going to hear consistently from myself and Dr. Hamilton, and then especially from Dr. Stedman and Dr. Lamb when you're on with them on Thursdays, is that one of the things that we want you to start doing right now is changing your lens from the role of a classroom teacher to that of an administrator. And I tell people all the time that my gray hairs don't come from kids. My gray hairs come from adults. And you're going to find as you start getting into this that you may very well be surprised at how difficult it can be to learn to not only work with, but then learn how to supervise adults. So that is what this course is all about. So begin to kind of make that change in your head as we go through this course. We really encourage you to come in on Tuesdays if it's live. Again, we recognize things happen. You may have a kid that may have a game. Your school may have an event on A's Pickle Night. Again, those things happen. We're not going to yell at you. Can't make it, you can't make it. But again, as Dr. Hamilton said, we will post the video and you'll be able to go in and watch it. Just some links there if you need specific help with tech support of the library. And then that gets us into what is going to encompass the first 6 weeks of this course, and that is the APSL. It may seem like a lot, and you got the 5 tasks, but we will break them down and we will simply take them one task at a time. What you're going to find is when you've got your first written assignment due date is that you're always going to be submitting a week behind, but also working on the week ahead. So you don't have an assignment to submit next week. Next week, you'll actually get your first assignment to submit. And then, we'll do some work on it, send it back to you for corrections. You'll correct that, but at the same time, you're going to be working on the next task. So I cannot stress enough for you being organized. And again, I know it may seem overwhelming at first. I think both Dr. Hamilton and I were working principals when we were trying to write a dissertation, and that in and of itself, I had to get to a routine. My routine was, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, I was up at 6, I was at Starbucks at 7, and I wrote from 8 till about 3 or 4 every afternoon. That was my routine. So I would suggest all of you get a routine, get organized, and avoid, if at all possible, falling behind, because I don't want you to get to week, I think it's week 6, where you're going to look at submitting the final APSL, which is all 5 tasks combined, and you're still working on task 3. Because as soon as we finish the APSL, we're going to jump right into the APTEL, and that process starts all over again. And then the issue is going to be that you aren't going to have, you're going to be doing like triple the work at that point. So stay organized. If you start running into trouble, let somebody know early so that we can look at helping you intervene and keep you on task and on schedule. When you go through the syllabus, it'll break down what the different tasks are. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have to establish your own PLC. Now, as teachers, PLCs may be that thing that you dread going to when you're planning period, when you can be in your classroom grading papers or something else. As an administrator, that is actually going to be your small group and how you're actually going to learn to run your school. As an assistant principal, it's going to be your grade level. As the principal, you're going to have to learn to supervise them all and know how to press what press what levers to the best effect. And so you're going to have to look around and start looking at developing your own POC. First thing you need to do is talk with your principal, or if they pawn you off to an assistant principal, that's fine, about what you're going to be doing and why. You typically don't have any issues there. And then you're going to start looking at developing your own POC. For your first written assignment, I can tell you right now that if you don't cite DeFore at least 2 or 3 times in your paper, we're probably going to send it back to you, because that's going to be where you need to start. Saw something pop up in the question. Anna Brickhouse, PLC, pick up left on PLC, go from there. Anna, if that particular PLC is going to go into whatever issue you decide to tackle, then yeah, that's fine. No point in reinventing the wheel if you don't have to. So yes, that's fine. So when you go back to the course overview page and you look at the weekly schedule, there are resources around you specifically for PLCs, so you don't have to go look for the information. We provide it right there for you to read and to be able to cite, and that will be able to get you started. All right, that was a lot in a little bit of time. So let me stop there and see if anybody has any questions. I cannot have explained all of that well. Outstanding. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see right here where it says, be careful in your Blackboard, because, so here's your APSL. And right below there is where you're going to be working in your APTEL, and it's very easy to click the wrong one. So just be very careful. So you have your APSL task and prompts that are here for you. And then, whoops, well, there they are. I didn't mean to really click that. And then you have your APSL template and materials. So here are some PLC information. Dr. Crawford mentioned DeFore. There's information right there. More DeFore right there. You're going to have to go in there and you're going to have to do research on PLCs. And what you might be doing as a PLC, you might find out is really not a PLC based on research. So even if you do use the same folks you've already got, for if that suits the problem that you discover for the students, then you need to have to set it up and run it like a real PLC that research says that you're supposed to set it up for PLC. You have this nice thing right here, this APSL Final Evidence Narrative Template. So you're going to use this template. And I mean, you're literally going to like save this template. Right there where it says your name here, you're going to take that out and you're going to put your name there.
Name there.
And then anything you see in this template highlighted in yellow, you put something there.
And let me interrupt right there. Mm-hmm. Make sure once you add whatever you're going to add there, take out the yellow highlights. Mm-hmm. Because when you submit the final, when you submit the final paper, it's all going to be Times New Roman, size 12 font. And so, red is where that just simply tells you that's where you're actually going to write the text. You'll take out that red part. Mm-hmm. And again, the yellow, you want to take out the yellow highlights as well. So you're just going to turn in your typical, black and white assignment.
And then anything that's written in black is going to stay. So this purpose, this tells the purpose, and this is single spaced. And some of these instructions are going to be single spaced, but everything else will be double spaced. And this stays. You don't take this out. You'll be turning this in with your final APSL in 6 or 7 weeks, just as it is, just like that. You just leave that there. And then this says school profile. Well, there's nothing else right there. But we see that up here it says you have to add text if it's highlighted. So right here, you're going to do a school profile. So you can go ahead and start gathering that right now. What is a school profile? That tells the story of your school. You could talk about demographics. You could talk about test scores. You could talk about community engagement. You could talk about the history of the school. Has it been around for 100 years? Is it this first year that it's open? You can talk about the culture. You can talk about the climate. You can even talk about if the town influences the school. All kinds of things. But remember that this is a research paper for all intents and purposes. And anything you write in here cannot be your opinion. Correct. Cannot be your opinion. You have to cite the references where you found that. So if you say that your school is 37% free and reduced lunch, how do you know that? Did you find that on your child nutrition's website? Then you'll cite your county's child nutrition website there. Or your county's website or whatever. So you have to cite everything. Unless you're saying the sky is blue, which is pretty much general knowledge, you'll be citing. And leave out words that are emotional words, like we have the most wonderful staff in the world.
Dr. Chandler, hang on a second. So let me back up. Tracy, yes, you can cite your school SIP. And Eric, I'm not quite sure I understand your question. Can you kind of flesh that out for me a little more? Okay, we'll come back to
So Eric says,
significant.
the absolute overview says, lead the PLC
Yeah.
in research and analysis of all available data to identify a significant learning. Yes, yes, we're not that far yet. Right now, we're just on
Yeah.
school profile. So that's where we still are, is school profile. Somebody also asked a question about that they are at different schools. Did I read that correctly, Dr. Crawford?
Yeah, I think she was an EC department, but her supervisor is the EC director. Catherine, my suggestion would be,
I had someone last time that had different schools because he worked at the central office.
yeah,
And he was over a program from the central office. So he got people from that program at the different schools together as a PLC.
yeah, that's one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he did a district profile instead of a school profile. And it worked. So that was fine. You could, in North Carolina, you can use your teacher working condition survey for your school profile to highlight areas of strengths and to highlight areas that perhaps your school is working on. You can use attendance data for your school profile. You can use discipline data for your school profile, just to tell the story of your school. It doesn't have to be the most elaborate thing in the world, but just so that people can sort of get a feel of what your school is about. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
And then your task one, now so you're going to leave that description, you're going to leave those instructions, and then there is prompt one. So that'll be the first thing. Now that's not due, your draft of this is not due this Sunday. I just know some of you have already been texting and emailing, you're ready, you're rip-roaring to go here. So just to think and sort of get yourselves together. You're gonna get, first of all, the approval of your school leadership. So you need to talk to your principal or whoever your site person is about starting a PLC in the school. And you're going to tell them that you're going to research what is a PLC. You're going to teach that to your PLC. You're going to lead the PLC based on research. And you have to get, so you need to put electronically, you need to email your principal. I would suggest talking to your principal, but then email about, can I form a PLC? And then you want your principal to email you back to give you support and to approve that. And then that's going to be one of your first artifacts that you'll upload in your appendix under prompt one is that approval from that from your principal. So that's one thing that you're going to have. And you'll see that, so PLC research, so like Dr. Crawford said, you're going to take that yellow highlighting out and you have to have at least 3 sources written in APA format. The research has to conclude with a complete description of your PLC design. So you're going to have 3 sources and then the design of your PLC. And like Dr. Crawford said, one of your sources has to be Richard DeFore. And then the next part of that prompt would be, what's the criteria for selecting your PLC? When you read the research, it's going to talk to you about criteria for selecting a PLC. So you'll put that in there. And then your meeting, you would lead a PLC meeting. You have 2 weeks to get this. So you can work on those first parts. And right now, what you really need to be focused on is reading your research and preparing yourself with that.
Marcy, an email would be a really good artifact. And so you can just screenshot those, and those are the type of things that you can upload.
That's correct.
Same thing with the meeting minutes that you have of your PLC. You want to save those. Those are also good artifacts and evidences of your work.
Yes, and you could even snap a picture of you working in your PLCs.
Yeah.
But always keep those minutes as well and the documentation of that and the dates. But that sort of gets you going right there, and that's your template. So remember that template is in Blackboard. Let me get the pictures out of the way. In Blackboard under APSL, Template, and Materials. And right there is your template, and you're going to use so that outline is already there for you. There are resources there for you, and here is something else you might want to look at that can help sort of calm your nerves right now. This is an example of an APSL and what an APSL is going to look like. Now this is a minimal example. Understand, this just gives you a picture. This is not something thorough that's like the best example in the world. It just gives you a picture. So you see Jane Doe wrote her name right there. She left purpose, that was already there. Now she has a table of contents, you don't need that. She has her task 1 description. She did her school profile after prompt 1. I don't think, in the template, school profile comes before prompt 1. So what do you think about that? I don't think it matters where it goes. Do you?
What?
Before or after?
No.
So there's just an example of the school profile, so you can sort of see how that looks. And this is here to help you get started and to realize sort of, oh yeah, this is the way this could look. And then this is where they started in their PLC research. That was the first thing under prompt 1, task 1, prompt 1, was the PLC research. So you'll sort of see how that's done right there. This UBAN, or if that's how you say it, is one of your textbooks. So they had taken some of their reading and used that there. So that was the first thing under task 1. And then the second section of task 1 was the PLC selection. So you'll see how they wrote about that. And then their first PLC meeting. And so that is there for you just to use as okay, this is what I think these tasks and prompts mean. And oh yeah, I see, that's sort of the way that looks. So hopefully
And here's the beauty of this. I'm sorry, and here's the beauty of this. Once you, especially with these first couple of weeks, as we get into the AppTel down the road, a lot of the information that's there in the AppTel, you'll be able to pull from the AppCell. So, a little front end early on, but then once you get that done, you'll be able to pull sections from it or be able to carry over down the road.
That's right. So that is all there for you, for your support, to help scaffold your learning, to support your learning, and to make you to realize that, yeah, I can do this, and it's not as maybe overwhelming as it might feel when you're hearing vocabulary you're not used to, like APSL, APTEL, things like that. What are these people talking about? I don't know what this is. So that's there. We also wanted to talk just a little about the library. Right here is the library tab at the top of your Blackboard. And you'll see right here, this is your Bulldog One search. And so that is where you're going to go in and also search for research papers. So, so if I typed in professional learning community, it's going to come up with research papers that I can read to help me with my work, that I would cite in my work, and then reference in the reference section at the end. So all those things come up. You just have to go through there, just like you did in your master's program previously when doing that. Also, if you just go to GardnerWeb.edu, at the red bar at the top, click on Library, and this is what Dr. Crawford was referring to earlier. Then scroll down to Begin Research Citation Help. And this is where you're going to see right here at the top, choose APA Style 7th edition. And that's going to help you know how to format. There's a picture of the book, and this has some links in it right here that you can use. The APA document formatting section is here. This tells you how to cite things like journal articles or whole books or ebooks or social media posts that are now allowed to be cited.
Yep. There's also some changes around capitalization that we found pretty interesting. Things like spacing. They finally got rid of the typewriter thinking, so it's now just single spaced after punctuation. The rules on capitalization are now different. Now, unless it's a proper noun, you only capitalize the first letter in the first word. Everything else is written normally. So there are some things that you may want to refer to as you start this process. And by the time you get to 603, I'm pretty sure it'll be old hat for you.
Right. And here you have information about quotations and paraphrasing and summarizing, long quotations of more than 40 words, that's important, and new rules about multiple authors.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, so you have that there. And also right here, now you know your reference section, and there's also one part later where you'll be doing an annotated bibliography. Those all require hanging indents. And so here is a little video that shows you how to do a hanging indent. So that is there for you as well, for your reference and your help. So that was Garden Web, went to the red bar, chose library, went to citations, and then once I got in there, then I went to the APA 7th edition. So that brings that up for you. And I believe there's a link to this actual page in Blackboard, but I'm not 100% sure where to go for that right now. So can't remember. So I have lost my Blackboard. No, there I go. So back to our class shell. What else do we need to go over, Dr. Crawford?
Brianna, I see you. Hang on one second. I'll come back to that. You talk about Zoom teams?
Oh, no, we haven't.
So folks, and my Zoom team's already set up. I'm pretty sure Dr. Hamilton's already set up there. So if you haven't looked at there, when you go to the course overview, you'll see who you teamed with. You'll use your Zoom teams for the case studies. We won't talk about those right now. We'll get to those in a couple of weeks. Right now, we just want to get you started. This is also where a good opportunity. This is also where you'll do your peer reviews, because you will do several of those throughout the course of this semester. You'll need to do 2. I think each of my groups has at least 4, and one group has 5. Or no, they have 5, and one group has 4. And so there's, you'll have different people within your team that you can review and not have to get caught up if somebody's running late or whatever have you. You will also do a couple of Zoom team sessions where you analyze the case studies. So you want to get to know who's on your team. We don't tell you who is going to be the Zoom master. So there are some nights where, like on Tuesdays, I may be the Zoom master for our Tuesday session. Right now, Dr. Hamilton is the Zoom session. That is something that you will decide amongst yourselves. Yes, you can rotate it, but that's something that you'll need to work out. So that's why that contact information is critical, so that you can begin to kind of know each other and begin the process of figuring it out. Make sure you get your all of you need to have your YouTube account set up. It's not hard, so that once whoever's running the Zoom team session will be the one that has to process it through Zoom, then upload it to YouTube, and then send the link back out, not only to me for the grade, but then to everybody else in the Zoom team to have as well. It's not a difficult process, and once you do it one time, it'll be old hat for you down the road. All right, got a couple of things that came up in the chat box. Brianna, that's not the first time we've had to deal with that. It is rare that your principals, most principals understand people going back to school, especially for administrative add-on licenses, and most of us will find a space for you to operate. If you begin to run into issues, that's probably a good conversation to have between your clinical coach. That'll be the person that comes out to your school and the principal, and they will normally be able to work that out for you. Again, I know you mentioned your PBIS leadership team. If that works with your problem of practice, both in the apps or the AppTel, that's fine. The idea is to make sure that that team is working under the auspices of a PLC as defined by DeFore. Hope that answers your question. If not, just shoot another message. Marcy, test one. Yeah, so yeah, we break it up. So basically what you want to do is get permission first, and then you want to research your PLC. Well, you want to get permission, research, and then select your PLC, and then leading the work in the PLC will be tasks 2 through 5. Any other questions out there? Okay.
Okay. And then also, if you haven't, on the Zoom team link, if you haven't gone in and uploaded your contact information for your Zoom team members, please do that right there as well, so that you will know how to get in contact with each other. There's a tutorial here in your Blackboard for you to help you with Zoom if you need assistance with Zoom. You will be reviewing each other's work. This is in prep not only to help each other, but that's also in preparation to help you, as you have to learn to give adults feedback in the role of being a school administrator. So you will you'll get the opportunity to review each other, and you will get graded on the feedback that you give your peers. So that is important, that it's descriptive and it's specific, so that it helps them learn and grow. And you'll learn a lot from that too. And that's not always an easy thing to do. So that's really good practice for you as well. We won't be doing case study. We will be doing case studies, but that's not in the immediate future. There are videos there. Here are APA formatting materials that will help you as well with the new APA. Up at the top, we did not review yet the MELS handbook, and the competency folio is here. So we have the scale handbook, and it's here, and it is laid out for the people who are doing the 5 semesters, but you're in the sort of fast-tracked add-on licensure. So if you scroll on down to about page 80 or 90, you'll see where it says add-on, and that will show you where your information starts. And of course, it's the very same information. It's just that yours is more compact than the people who are in the full program. You will have your clinical internship. There is a form right here that you will complete, and once TaskStream is up and running, you will be putting your evidence artifacts in there and your internship log. So this is the format for your internship log. You need to use this form, and you will not turn this in until the end of your semester, where you will be turning that in to show that you have at least 80 hours of internship experience, and you'll do that each of your 3 semesters. Like Dr. Lamb said the other night, if you've already done bus duty for 10 hours, then that's probably more than enough bus duty. We're going to go ahead and assume you know all about bus duty at that point. So, so make sure that you are hitting all the different competencies. The competency folio, we'll work on that once you get into TaskStream. They don't put you into, they have to pay for each TaskStream account, so they won't put you in there until they know for sure that everything is settled with the classes. And your clinical coach too will help you with the competency folio information that you put into TaskStream. So they'll help you with that, but this is also where your internship handbook will or your internship log will go into that as well. Your clinical coach 1 will visit you at your school. No one else will, unless you need for them to come or do something for you. And then, so I think maybe Dr. Stedman will be the coach for my students, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, so that will
Um,
be coming. So don't worry about it now.
Hang on, Doctor, I got a question. So Catherine wanted to know problem of practice. And so, Catherine, what that simply means is you're going to look at, and this can come from a variety of places. It could come from school level EOG or EOC data, depending upon where you are. You could have access to the school's EVOS data. It could be an issue with you have a um, you have a 200 student school, and last year you had 500 discipline referrals. That would be something that you want to look at. And so the problem of practice can come from any number of places that you'll have access to. Again, it also could be a situation when you start talking with your principal, they may have something in mind that they could give you right off. And then that is what you will develop your plan to tackle.
I did want to just go back to this APSL template and materials page. So you have your template that you're going to download and you're going to use that. There's research on the PLC. There is the APSL example that we went over. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one more thing down here that I want to point out to you. And yes, it is. It's right here. It's called APSL Helpful Hints. So Dr. Stedman, I believe, created this for everyone. And it literally, he just goes through the APSL one step at a time. So the APSL is the first of the 6 evidences you will complete. You're going to do 2 evidences this semester, APSL and APTEL. So prior to your work on your APSL, you have to have a conversation with your principal about what you're going to be doing. And this CC1 stands for your Clinical Coach 1, and that's the person that's going to come to your school and visit you and your principal. So if you don't know yet who that is and you haven't heard within the next week or so, please let me or Dr. Crawford know so we can help you with that. But you've probably already heard from them. Make sure you're checking your Gardner Web email because that's probably how they are going to communicate with you. And then that talks about asking permission to form it. And then that tells you, go back to that template, use that as your guide. Then talks about your school profile that you're going to be using. The heading is school profile. And then it talks about task 1, prompt 1, the PLC research, 3 resources. You must use DeFore as one of those 3. The next section is the PLC section. That's where you select the members of your PLC and you explain the process that's research-based that you use to choose your team. You held your meeting, and then you're going to have your reference page because you're going to have citations in this work up to this point. And anytime you have citations, you have to have references. And
remember, your reference page starts on its own section at the very end of the document. And it's just listed as reference, size 12 font. You don't bold it, and you center at the top of the page.
And then that is what will have those hanging indents like we showed you from the library, so you can watch that video on how to do hanging indents. And to make sure that your references always stay at the top of the page, you can just go in Word to Insert and then do a page break and write by references, and then that will keep the word references at the top of your page at all times, regardless of what other work you do in your paper. So that will keep you lined up with that. So your task 1 that we just looked at, that's not due as a draft until January 26th. So for this week, let's just sort of scroll down on this little agenda right here. I think we've covered about everything on there.
I think so.
Oops, let me scoot back up. If you haven't already done your enrollment verification, you need to do that. If you haven't set up a Zoom account, you need to do that. Like Dr. Crawford said, if you need a YouTube account, get that set up. If you haven't put in your contact information for your Zoom teams, go ahead and get that done as well. You want to go ahead and start doing your research on your PLCs, and start learning about that, because you might have participated in PLCs, but once you start the research, you may realize that it wasn't really a PLC that, that followed the instructions or what research says is the best practice as a PLC. By 126, your task 1 draft would be due. But what you might want to go ahead and do in the meantime is get your school leadership permission. Again, begin your PLCs. Remember 3 references, 1 has to be to 4. Remember that your writing now needs to be in first person active voice, APA formatting. So an interesting thing about this new 7th edition APA, whatever, 7th edition APA is that they, T-H-E-Y, is now a singular pronoun. So you will not use he or she, you'll use they as a singular pronoun in first person active voice in 7th edition APA. Remember, do not tell us what you think or what you feel. You have to have all your facts backed up by research and references. You'll develop the criteria, and this is, you'll read about your PLCs first. This is not due until the 26th. How you chose your PLC, and then remember to get in writing digitally the agreement from your principal for your PLC. And then that's just some looking ahead. We don't even have to worry about that, but just work on those things. Just start reading about PLCs, and just sort of getting your permission and sort of get going on those first things.
All right, ladies and gents, that is a whole bunch in 52 minutes. It is perfectly okay if you have questions. Do we log 80 hours total? It's going to be 80 each semester. Okay, so again, it'd be bus duty. If you are the lucky one that gets stuck supervising, any of you brave enough to have a school dance on a Friday night, have fun with that. You could add that, sitting in on IEP meetings. If you get, if you get the opportunity to attend a principal's meeting or go to a board meeting, if you have to sit in on an IEP meeting, because it's one thing to sit in on an IEP meeting as the teacher. When you take on this role, you're going to be the one supervising IEP meetings. And I can tell you right now, we just had principals meeting 2 weeks ago, and I always get nervous when it's just the district's lawyer and she gets an hour and a half to talk about IEPs, because typically that means somebody somewhere has done something stupid. And all of us need to hear about it. In the meeting 2 weeks ago, we were reminded to remind teachers not to squirt EC children with water bottles. Yeah, see that look on your face, Ms. Myers, right there. That's the same one I had. But these are the type of things that you deal with. Reminding people, probably not a good idea to try to grab the hands of an autistic student who is in crisis, because you might get hit in the face. Really? You'll be surprised at the things that you have to be told. So that's all going to, the big thing about the 80 hours is it should come as over the course of what you're going to normally be doing. Will you have to go seek opportunities? Absolutely. But a good chunk of it should just be things that you're already going to be doing. And we just ask that you once again change your lens from, again, being the teacher that's stuck there to, okay, what does it mean if I've got a gym full of 300 students dancing, I've got 30 teachers supervising, but they're all over here in the corner behind the bleachers. You're just asking for trouble. So things of that nature. Any other questions? Marcy, yes, just Tuesday and Thursday. It's just Tuesday and Thursday. And like I said, after the first 4, maybe 5 weeks, Thursdays will actually drop off, and you'll just be stuck with Dr. Hamilton and I for the rest of the semester on Tuesday.
And Eric, did I read something about technology and now I can't find it, about technology being central to the responses?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what he meant by that, and I wasn't sure. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I asked that because I assume we should start thinking about who would be a good fit for the PLC that we're going to create. And I've put together a couple ideas, and I don't see that centrality of technology talked about too much after that introductory material there at the beginning. And how important that focus of the learning is might affect who I choose on the PLC committee.
Well, that's going to be hard for us to know without first knowing exactly what your problem of practice is going to be. And so ultimately speaking, you're going to have to make that call. If you think a person has something to lend to your PLC to advance the purpose, then you know what? Ask them to join. I mean, it really is just that simple.
Okay.
Delegate that part, like if it's collecting data electronically or something, to someone else who you think might be stronger in that area. And when you do, in a few weeks, when we talk more about your competency folio, you'll have 21 competencies this semester that you'll take from what you've done in your Absol Aptal and put in there. And you do have technology things that you have to, or digital learning things you have to show in there. So that is going to be central to your work, because you're going to want to be able to use the digital learning that you've done to add to your competency folio. Brianna, yes, your name should be in a Zoom group.
Whose class you want to be on, mine or Dr. Hamilton's?
Yours. And
Mine?
the blackboard you were looking at was my class. So
Yeah, that's her class, not mine. When you log on, you'll see your name.
Yes. So that's why you didn't see your name there. Thank you for asking that. I'm sorry to have thrown you into a panic about that.
And Marcy, your principal or their designee will actually sign the log. So no, I don't want you to start creating cartons of documentation for your 80 hours. Ultimately speaking, that's going to be between you and your principal.
You can start your hours now. Your 80 hours do have to be in this semester. We don't start our semester till like Martin Luther King weekend, but you could certainly count your hours now as, I would count this as this semester. And yes, you should be contacted by your clinical coach 1, and that's the person that's going to come visit you at your school. Your clinical coach 2 is not going to visit you at school. Your clinical coach 2 is going to help you with your competency folio, and none of us have our classes for that yet. We don't know yet who we have, and that's not assigned yet because they're waiting until drop add before they assign the task stream accounts. So that's why we don't have that. So you're not going to hear from your 2 yet, but you should be hearing from your 1. The agenda that was shown, that is the little square box that is shown on week 1. That's shown on your weekly class schedule and your weekly class schedule. And then if you scroll down in Blackboard, you'll see that in week 1 as well. Yes, we are both working principals.
Yes.
I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina.
I am in Guilford County and High Point, and we're also in very, very, very different schools. And so you'll get to see some of the issues that Dr. Hamilton has to deal with. And, some of the things that, I'm currently dealing with. For instance, about a third of my kids live in a housing project that is in the process of being shuttered. As a matter of fact, they will have all residents out by May 5th. My school is small enough as it is. I'm already down 10% as folks are moving out in place in other housing projects or Section 8 and other areas of the county. So that's kind of a real thing that at some point you may have to deal with.
Well, it is 7:59. I think we have given you all more than you can even start to imagine to think about tonight. So just sort of think about, just start reading some of that PLC research and getting yourself familiar with PLCs and just some of those first steps.
Please feel free to reach out by email, or like I said, if it's that pressing, feel free to shoot me a text, and I'll try to get you squared away, and we'll go from there.
Same. And back to that, remember that when you start thinking, what was that now? So back to that template and materials for APSL, and make sure you're on APSL, not APTEL. There's that template, remember that. There's an example, remember that. And then on down here, you have those helpful hints. And so those three things will really help provide support and structure for you through that process. And then here's week 1. So that's where you're going to find each week's agenda that's on there. So that's there. You also have your weekly class schedule. You will see that repeated there as well. Very same thing. Oh, it's down here. It has to be uploaded. So anyway, yeah.
So we promise we've made it as accessible and as easy as possible, but also I think as bite-sized as possible, so that it's not so overwhelming. So you just relax, and I promise Dr. Hamilton and I will get you through it.
We will.
All right. So if you can join us on Thursday, that one will be led by Dr. Lamb. I've known Dale a long time. He is an absolute nut, but he's one of the smartest people that I know. And so, again, just Thursday, you'll get some more in-depth information just to kind of ease you into the process some more. But like I said, the Tuesday, Thursday thing will not be forever. And after about 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks, depending on you all, Thursdays will drop off, and it'll just be Tuesdays with Dr. Hamilton and I.
Right. And then remember that on Thursday evening, you're at the bottom of your overview page in Blackboard, you see the link for the Thursday session. And we will also send that out Thursday as well, just as a quick reminder and somewhere where you can go very quickly to grab that easily. So that's there for you, and we hope you all have enjoyed your first class. And again, we are so proud of you and excited for you and happy for you that you are embarking upon this adventure in your life. Being a school administrator is a great, rewarding job, and we know that you're all going to be great school administrators, and we're going to help you obtain that goal. And don't feel overwhelmed or frustrated. We're here for you. And thank you for choosing Gardner Webb, and thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. And Dr. Crawford is going to have the last word.
Hey, relax. It's going to be fun. And by the time May is over, you'll be in good shape. One last question, 1 to 10. What is my stress level as a principal? So no, that's actually a fair question. And I have often said that the most difficult time of year for me, and I would imagine Dr. Hamilton, actually is from February till May, because not only are we running school, we're in the process of beginning to close school, closing out budgets. I've got to have Title I closed by the end of March. I got to have local budgets closed by the end of February. We'll start hiring fairs, job fairs, transfer fairs, EOG testing. Like I said, I'm losing about 1/3 of my kids because they're shuttering a housing project. In the district, the superintendent has put forward a $2 billion renovation plan for all the schools. My school is part of that plan, as just kind of tear it down and build a new one. So right now I'm at about a 5.5. 2 months from now, I'll hit 8.5, 9 easy. No, Dr. Hamilton is a lot cooler than I am, but I'll hit 8.5, 9 easy.
Here's your smile.
Especially in the spring, and then on top of all that, you all know, spring is about to get warm. Hormones start getting engaged, and the level of tomfoolery just goes through the roof. And I keep a current, really, kind of look on my face from March till the last day of school. So it happens. You learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
One last thing, folks.
Different people handle it different ways, and so that's just.
And I can't stress this enough. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Find some routine. For me, I'm out of the house by 5:15, 5:30, so I can get in a good hour fasted cardio in the morning. It just kind of helps get the brain going throughout the day. But make sure that you are doing things to take care of you. If you don't, you will crash and burn very quickly. And that's not just for you as working graduate students. That's also good advice when you step out of the classroom into the administrative role.
Amen. We will record this and send this out as soon as we can get this out tonight. And thank you again for being with us. What a great first class. What a great group. We're so happy to have you.
Have a good night, guys. See you Thursday.
Good night. Bye.